Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I want to welcome all of you to the 2024 Candidate Forum. It is sponsored tonight by the Rowan Chamber, by the Salisbury Post, Catawba College, Miller Davis, and the Norval Theater. My name is David Wisnett. I will serve as the moderator for tonight's forum. First thing we want to do is say thank you to this group that you have on the stage here. We want to thank all of these candidates for taking part. It takes a great deal of courage to run for elected office, and we appreciate your willingness to serve. And I'm just going to ask, if you don't mind, let's give all the candidates a round of applause. Here's how things are going to work. We will begin tonight's forum with each candidate having 1 minute to make an opening statement. I will then ask questions that were submitted by readers of the Salisbury Post. None of the candidates have been provided with the questions in advance. Each candidate will be allowed 1 minute to answer these questions. At the end, we will allow each candidate 1 minute for concluding remarks. There is a timer that is right here on the screen that Mike Miller of Miller Davis is operating for us, and we appreciate that very much. Please note that when the time expires, candidates, you will be expected to immediately bring your comments to a conclusion. Now, as far as housekeeping goes, I was asked to ask you to silence your phones if you don't mind doing that. And then as far as any applause or anything like that, I have been asked if I could just simply ask you to wait until the end, and then we could applaud for our candidates at the end of this forum, if that is okay with you folks. Now, we will go in reverse order for the opening and closing comments, and we ask, again, don't interrupt your fellow candidates in any way. Our forum will conclude at 7. Now, the candidates running for office who are here this evening include running for the office of State Senate, Carl Ford and Tangela Morgan, State Representative of District 76, Harry Warren and Alicia Byrd Clark, State Representative for District 83, Grant Campbell and Joanne Chesley. For the Rowan County Commission, we have 2 candidates here, including Alyssa Redmond and Mark Ortiz. Craig Pierce and Mike Caskey are not taking part. For the Rowan-Salisbury School Board Seat 3 in the East Rowan District, we have Kathy Sanborn. Rowan-Salisbury School Board Seat 5, the Salisbury District, we have Jonathan Barbie, Rebecca Childs, and Brian Wims. Rowan-Salisbury School Board Seat 7 in the Southeast District, not participating is candidate Mackenzie Kelly. Lynn Marsh is here taking part. So right now we would like to have our opening comments, and again we will begin with Carl Ford. Carl?
Thank you. I'm Carl Ford, your current North Carolina Senator. I've been in the Senate 6 years. I served in the House for 6 years prior to that, County Commissioner for 4 years, also served on the Rowan County DSS Board a little over 7 years, and the Rowan County Planning Board 2 years. And I want to say thank you for being here tonight, and I thank my wife for being here. She makes me a little less nervous, and my wife is here, and I'm glad. And I have 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and the grandchildren are a lot more fun. A lot more expensive too, but they're a lot more fun. But I enjoy my family, I enjoy my church and my church family, and I enjoy serving you in the North Carolina Senate, and I want to continue to do so. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Tangela Morgan.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the sponsors for hosting this event and for all of you that are here in attendance. I am Tangela Morgan, the Democratic candidate for NC Senate District 33, which covers all of Rowan County and all of Stanly County. I was born and raised in Stanly County. I attended the public school system there and graduated from North Stanley High School. I went on to earn my bachelor's degree from Wake Forest University, and I hold a master's of education in school counseling from Liberty University. For over 25 years, I've been a resident of Rowan County. I've raised my 2 children here, and they were educated in the Rowan-Salisbury school system. I've worked as a school teacher and a school counselor. I've spent my professional life trying to prepare young people to go out into the world and be successful, and right now there are policies and legislation in place that prevents them from thriving. So I'd like to take my advocacy to the North Carolina General Assembly so my efforts can be far-reaching. Thank you.
Thank you. Harry Warren.
Thank you, Tangela. Well, good evening. My name is Harry Warren, And first of all, I want to thank the sponsors for putting this together. I want to especially thank all of you for taking the time out of your evening to come here and give us the opportunity to introduce ourselves to you. As I said, my name is Harry Warren, and for the last 14 years, I've had the honor of representing District 76 and probably a lot of you in the State House. I'm very appreciative of that honor. I'm appreciative of that, and I have a lot of gratitude for that. I am also very, very serious about the position because it's not only an honor, it has a lot of responsibility with it. During the last 14 years, I've had the opportunity to draft, sponsor, and co-sponsor some of the more significant legislation in the contemporary history of North Carolina on your behalf. I appreciate the support you've given me over the years. I ask humbly for your continued support when early voting starts on Thursday. Thank you very much for being here. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Harry. Alicia Byrd Clark.
Good evening to each of you. I am Dr. Alicia Byrd Clark, and I am a native of Salisbury, North Carolina, and a proud graduate and product of the Rowan Salisbury school system. I have degrees that come from Strayer University, Winston-Salem State University, and North Central University. I am the proud mother of a daughter, Chastity, who is a business owner and an educator in the Rowan Salisbury School District. And so here I am running for North Carolina District 76, which I am extremely proud about. I serve on numerous boards in Rowan County, spanning from education, healthcare, as well as the nonprofit sector. The one that I spend my most time with is the Rowan Salisbury Board of Education, where I serve as the chair. And so I am your champion for North Carolina District 76, and I will advocate on behalf of education, teachers' pay, affordable housing, and women's reproductive rights.
Thank you. Grant Campbell.
Thank you, David. Hello, everyone. My name is Grant Campbell. I am running for North Carolina House District 83. I have been in this area for almost 28 years practicing medicine. I've delivered over 7,000 children in this community, so some of the population growth is my fault, I guess. The only time I've left this community during that time is also served as a trauma surgeon in the United States Army Medical Reserve, and I did 1 tour in Iraq and 2 tours in Afghanistan, finishing my career as a trauma surgeon for 3rd Group Special Forces. I also serve as vice chairman of the North Carolina State Board of Community Colleges. I'm on the board of directors of the UNC Alumni Association, and I'm very proud that as of this year, I am now chairman of the board of directors of the Independence Fund, which is one of the largest nationwide nonprofit organizations that serves veterans and their caregivers, especially veterans that are catastrophically wounded. I appreciate you guys being here tonight, and I hope for the opportunity to earn your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Joanne Chesley.
Right, thank you. Good evening. I'm Dr. Joanne Chesley. I am running for House Representative District 83, and I just want to tell you a little bit about me. I grew up in Maryland. I went to school in Virginia for my bachelor's degree, UNC Charlotte for my doctoral degree, and my doctorate at Chapel Hill. I have taught every single level, elementary, middle, and high school. I've been a college professor. I've taught adult education. I am a strong proponent of our public schools. That matters extremely. It's just a high on my list. I think we have to protect our public schools. We have 1.8 million students approximately going to our public schools. About 140,000 go to private schools. I'm a believer that we should put that money there to strengthen schools so that we have good employees and we keep our economy strong. And that's hugely important to me. On the issue of private schools and vouchers, I do believe we could come up with a better formula.
Thank you. Alyssa Redmond.
Hi, I want to thank Elaine and David for this opportunity. I am a small business owner running for Rowan County Commissioner. Again, my name is Alyssa Redmond. I previously served in India, Afghanistan, Washington, D.C., Hong Kong, and Bolivia with the U.S. Foreign Service. And I wrote grants for the New Orleans Mayor's Office for Health Policy. And that was in a post-Katrina environment. And as a Peace Corps volunteer, I served as a teacher in Fiji. I'm a graduate of the North Carolina School of Science and Math, UNC Wilmington, and I got my master's degree in public policy from Duke University. I'll forever be a Methodist preacher's kid. I grew up in Eastern North Carolina. My 2 daughters are enrolled in Rowan Salisbury schools right now, and I serve on the boards of the Communities and Schools and the Literacy Council to strengthen community ties inside of our public schools. I raised over $13,000 to donate books to the county's Little Free Libraries during the pandemic. So I understand policy concerns at the local, state, and federal level from prior work experience, and I'll utilize my knowledge to work for all for a stronger, more competitive Rowan County. Thanks.
Thank you. Mark Ortiz.
Hello there. My name is Mark Ortiz. I'm from Kannapolis. I have a very modest vehicle dynamics consulting business there. It doesn't bring in much money. I have the distinction of being probably the only candidate on this stage with an EBT card. I am the nominee of the newly formed We the People Party. I am a Democrat in the sense that I believe in democracy, not aristocracy. I am a Republican in the sense that I am not an anarchist or a monarchist. I am independent in my thinking. I am also the treasurer of this newly formed party. This is a race for 2 seats. You can vote for 2. And I would appreciate your vote on November 5th or when you see fit to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Kathy Sanborn.
Hi, good afternoon, and I want to thank you all for hosting this tonight. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the community to hear from the candidates. I am Kathy McDuffie Sanborn. I have taught school. I was a teacher. I was an administrator at the school level, and I retired from Rowan Salisbury Schools as the director of high schools. I've retired 12 years ago. But I've been involved in schools ever since then. I've served on the board since last August when I was appointed by the board when a seat opened up. And I've served as the vice chairman of the board since December. So this round I've been the vice chair. My focus for education is always putting the kids first, and that's a tagline that a lot of people use. But I taught kids with disabilities, and I understand that every child has strengths. Every child has abilities, and every child has a right to an education that's on the level that they can learn and have the opportunity to be as strong and as independent as they possibly can. I also believe that we should have strong schools, safe schools, and buildings that are well maintained. Thank you, and I appreciate you all being here.
Thank you, Kathy. Lynn Marsh.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to be at this forum. My name is Dr. Lynn Marsh, and I have been in education for over 35 years, and I have served as a principal, a teacher, a special ed teacher, a teacher assistant, and a college professor for 7 years, teaching special ed teachers. And I consider it such an honor to be able to have served on the board so far 3 years, and I am seeking re-election for seat number 7 on the southeast area, but you vote for all the seats as you vote on the ballot. And I do think that our children are the most important thing and asset we have. I'm a special educator myself, and I do believe that I've done publishing for special ed in journals. And I also have a family. Both my kids went through Rowan Salisbury Schools. I'm a North Rowan graduate. I won't tell you what year, though. And I feel like that I know I can help education because I have the experience, the willpower, and the knowledge to do it. And I'd appreciate your vote when it comes to the election, early ballot, and on the election day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Marsh. Brian Wims.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brian Wimes, and I'm running for seat 5 for your Rowan County School Board. I've been here for 20 years. I'm really rooted, invested in this community. I have 2 daughters that went to Salisbury High School and are at places where they simply would not be if it weren't for Salisbury High School. I feel a great of gratitude to Rowan County Schools, and that's why I'm running for your school board. A couple things that I want to do is I want to increase public-private partnerships with our school system. They're out there now, but there can be more. I've got a lot of experience with nonprofits, with church organizations, and I know that our schools want and need those. I'm going to increase communication with the community. There's lots of amazing stories every day that get lived in our schools, and those need to be communicated and uplifted. The third thing is money. I think if we act in a strategic, smart, and concerted way and prove to our Republican legislature that we're being effective, they will fund our schools appropriately. Brian Wimes for School Board Seat Number 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Rebecca Childs.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Rebecca Childs, and I am an educator. I'm also a doctor of education, and I earned my doctorate in educational leadership. I'm a proud public school parent and also a volunteer in our community. I served on the Forward 2040 committee. I'm a community and schools volunteer, Title I Parent Advisory Committee member, and also a PTA member. I'm honored to have been endorsed by the Rowan Salisbury Association of Educators and Public School Strong Voters, amongst others. I believe public education has the power to transform lives in ways that no other institution can. I'm running for the school board because I'm committed to ensuring all students have an excellent educational experience. Ahora en español, soy educadora. También soy doctora en educación y obtuve mi doctorado en liderazgo educativo. Soy una madre de 2 alumnos en Eisenberg y también voluntaria en la comunidad. Creo que la educación pública tiene el poder de transformar vidas de maneras que ninguna otra institución puede. Me postulo para la Junta para que todos tengan una experiencia excelente.
Thank you. Jonathan Barbie.
Thank you. I'd like to support our sponsors here. Thank you for allowing us to be here, our audience, and for anyone else who's going to be watching and listening. My name is Jonathan Stewart Barbie. I'm running for School Board Seat 5 for the Salisbury area. This is the second time I'm running for this. The first things that I believe that I can do is be able to uplift the other school board members and communicate with them about where we can be going forward, create data sheets for the future school board members that can be on with us as well, and collaborate with the finance department and the superintendent to make our dreams for this school system come true. And I'm very big in communicating with the community. One of the things that I suggested in the last town hall I was in was create some kind of accounting method so that way any money that's not being spent on school supplies could be rolled over, so that way we're not going to have a deduction for school supplies in the next incoming financial year. I have a lot of ideas. This is the second time I'm running for this. I appreciate everyone's support and concerns and endeavors going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'd now like to ask for the candidates on the front row here, if you would get up and move over here behind the table. These are our candidates for the State Senate and for the State House. And as they do that, we will begin with our questions and answers. And again, these questions are ones that were submitted by readers to the Salisbury Post. And I will ask each candidate these questions in a random order. So thank you all very much. Our first question, I will begin with Tangela Morgan, and the first question is this. What specific steps would you take to secure state funding for Rowan County transportation projects like the proposed new I-85 exit in northern Rowan County? And pick up a mic if you would, Ms. Morgan.
As a school counselor, I am tasked with removing obstacles and barriers to a student's success, whether that's personal or academic. That requires me to collaborate with stakeholders, build partnerships, and research resources that will be necessary to eliminate the issues and to create opportunities of growth for my students. So that is a skill that will be vital in the General Assembly. As a layman right now, I can't speak specifically to what the need is for the Transportation Department, but I do have the skills to work with those and surround myself with those who do know, and to be able to use that information to make the best possible fiscal decision for the citizens of District 33.
Thank you. Carl Ford. I will repeat the question if you'd like, or if not, you can go ahead. Yes. The proposed new I-85 exit in northern Rowan County, what steps would you take to secure state funding for Rowan County transportation projects?
Thank you. We've always worked with the chamber and with the county commission and the MPO, and that's paramount because you have to go through the process. You have to go through the MPO to make sure that they're on board and line it all up so we can get the funding for any project like that, as we've done for widening of I-85, as we did for the old Beatty Ford interchange, as we've done for many, many projects in Rowan County. Now, the biggest problem we have in NCDOT right now is funding, because most of the funding comes from the gas tax. Well, all of us are using a lot less gas, so there's less tax revenue there. So there's got to be other ways to come up with things, and we've started charging a flat fee for those who buy electric cars, and there are other things we've got to look at in the future to keep the funding flowing. But I always am sensitive to everyone in Rowan County and all the local communities, towns, and the county, and as to what they need, and we'll always work with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia Byrd Clark, same question for you.
I think that communication is key in being able to talk with our the aldermen and our mayors and our municipalities to see exactly what the needs that they have in their areas for funding to be had. I think that making sure that we're all on the same page with how this is actually going to benefit our community is key, and what necessary steps need to be taken thereafter. I do believe that once we see the need that Rowan County has, being able to make sure that we stay on our legislatures, whether it's myself or Harry or Carl or Tangela, and making sure we keep their feet to the fire to say these are the things that our community need, these are the things that we deserve, and making sure that we get the things that Rowan County actually needs.
Thank you. Harry Warren.
Well, thank you. Carl actually answered the question very succinctly. What I will add to that is the importance of that interchange you're referring to in McCandless Road. That is key to the development of the northern part of Rowan County, and particularly to the economic development of Spencer and East Spencer. And that's a keynote thing. We cannot wait for the amount of time it took us to get Old Beatty Ford Road interchange there. But again, part of the problem we have is the funding. We need to come up with a sustainable funding revenue stream for transportation projects because of the decline in the gas tax due to EVs and hybrids and better mileage on traditional combustion engines. So that's the key thing that we need to look at there. We need to continue to monitor the federal programs, grants, things of that nature too, as well as trying to lobby for direct appropriations in the budget.
Thank you. Joanne Chesley. And again, I will repeat the question if you would like. What specific steps would you take to secure state funding for Rowan County transportation projects like the proposed new I-85 exit in northern Rowan County?
I think those initial discussions should be with the people. I would like to go directly to my constituents to get an idea of what matters most to them. I would also be very sure to talk with people who serve on the city council and the county commissioners to see, you know, what we've already done and what the plans are and how that connects to what the state is intending to do. I think also to make very sure that we are tapping into as much federal money as possible. I think that's extremely important. And so if there's any infrastructure money and any other kinds of federal dollars that have not been applied, to make sure that we get those dollars to increase our ability to provide for transportation needs.
Thank you. Grant Campbell?
So I'll lay out two directions you need to think about doing this. You need to sell it appropriately, and you need to be proactive in the process. And when I say sell it, is you need to have a definitive plan to say what it is we're doing, and then be able to map out to say this is the economic and beneficial impacts of the community with tangible ways to measure it. So instead of just going there and say, hey, I want this because this is in my district, show them why, and show them how this improves access for new businesses, constituents that already live there. Now, the proactive part is you have to get in this process early. And that means with appropriations committees and things like that, Let's not look at it as, okay, I'm going to try to throw this in as an amendment at the last minute. I want to get in the ears of the people that control appropriations from the beginning so they understand this project from the beginning. That way it's not a surprise to them at the end when they're scrambling to do that final budget. Let's get in early and make a good job of selling it.
Thank you. Hold on to the microphone if you would. Funding for community colleges is very important to our local business community. What would you do to increase workforce development training dollars for Rowan Cabarrus Community College? And Grant, I'll start with you.
Oh, David, you're singing my song. So I've been a proud member of the State Board of Community Colleges for 2 years. After 11 months, I was elevated to the vice chair. I will say this, and I'm not a community college graduate, but I will tell you this. There is not a system better equipped in this state to respond with the flexibility and rapidity to workforce needs in the community college system. I'm very proud that I was involved in a new way of a funding model. We had a decades-old antiquated funding model that we've now changed that to something called Propel NC. We've been pitching it to the legislatures already, but basically what we're doing is we're changing the model where community colleges were getting penalized for growth in students. They were not getting credit for teaching things for certifications and not degrees. And look, there are a lot of avenues for workforce development and economic opportunities that fall in a certification and not a degree. So I'll tell you, I'm already on it, and we already have a roadmap for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chesley.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. Funding for community colleges is very important to our local business community. What would you do to increase workforce development training dollars for Rowan Cabarrus Community College?
I see myself working closely with fellow legislators. That's what I think needs to happen. I think those discussions that are held between and among the representatives and the senators over in the General Assembly, that goes a long way because there are some people with those strengths. I come from a background of teaching vocational education, so I understand that whole concept of workforce development. I think strengthening those partnerships is huge. So the partnerships between the private sector and the public schools, that is a very big part of it. We feed directly into their needs and their employment needs. So we continue that process that North Carolina has been a part of by strengthening those partnerships. North Carolina has done an excellent job with workforce development. It's one of the best things about our education system in this state. And so I would want for us to continue to strengthen that through partnerships primarily.
Thank you. Harry Warren.
Well, I have made no secret about the fact that I'm a big supporter and proponent for our community colleges. We have 58 of them, and as Grant alluded to, these are the bellwether to tell us where we are in the economy, whether it's going down, and one of the tools we have in the toolbox to turn it around. They're accessible to the average citizen. They have flexible scheduling, so people who want to change their life can access that and make that happen through a community college if they are adequately supported. It has always been something I've advocated for since the first time I got elected, is for the funding for the community colleges. They seem to get third in line behind the UNC system, K-12, and then the community colleges. And these are folks whose average teacher, every professor there has to be have a master's degree, and yet they are, to this point, still not compensated as well as some of the K-12 teachers are. So this is a high priority for us. I think that we are very fortunate here because the stewardship of the RCC campus, north and south, has been absolutely exemplary, and they have just done a fantastic job.
Thank you. Ms. Bird Clark.
Oh, sorry.
So having served on the Rowan Salisbury Board of Education for 8 years, I think that our whole funding source needs to be reevaluated and looked at again. And I say that from the vein of having $463 million being allocated to opportunity scholarships. What could we have done differently to make sure that our community college receives some of those fundings, right? So the other part of it is we have our early college that is located on Rowan Cabarrus' campus. So what could we do differently with making sure that that's a priority when it comes to funding for our community college system? So I think we need to go back to the drawing board and reassess what has been done and make sure that we properly allocate funding, not only for our community colleges, but for our Rowan Salisbury school system as well.
Carl Ford, do you need the question again?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. I have two community colleges in the district, Rowan and then, of course, Stanley. And we continue to increase the funding, and I will do so going forward because I think they are, as Representative Warren said, the jewel. They really are. In my opinion, they're doing a better job in the university system. And not just because I went there in the 70s when it was called Rowan Tech. That's how old I am. And finished my course of study in textiles at the time. And I think they do a fantastic job, and they do a good job adapting, like the community college did in '03 when Cannon Mills closed the doors. They had to adapt, and they did it very well. And then in Stanley, they continue to adapt, and they're increasing the area where they're teaching more linemen to climb the poles and get the job done. And these guys are starting at $80,000 to $90,000 a year. And then back in Rowan with the truck driving school, some of these guys are leaving and starting with jobs 6 figures. So our community colleges are doing a great job, and I'll continue to support them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Funding for community colleges is very important to our local business community. What would you do to increase workforce development training dollars for Rowan Cabarrus Community College?
To echo what has been said by the other candidates, we need to redirect funds that are already allocated for other areas such as a voucher program to our systems, especially in light of what the people in Western North Carolina are suffering at this time. Our schools have been underfunded for over several decades at this point, and it is going to take a tremendous amount of resources to not only rebuild and reopen those schools, but to provide wraparound services that those students will need. So that money that's being diverted from our local community colleges and our local public schools should be returned to the areas, to the taxpayers. As a school counselor, I have a number of students who are benefiting from the career and technical education classes that are offered at Rowan Cabarrus College. They're able to leave high school and earn a livable wage. So I would like to see that program sustained.
Thank you all very much. We are done with you for right now. So you may return to your front row seats, and I will ask Alyssa Redmond and Mark Ortiz if they will make their way up to the table. We will have the questions then following for the two county commission candidates that we have in the room tonight. And thank you all again. And again, we have Alyssa Redmond, Mark Ortiz running for Rowan County Commission. And the first question that I have submitted by a reader of the Salisbury Post, I will direct this question to Alyssa Redmond. Many employers are having a hard time filling open jobs. What will you do to help attract talent to our community?
Thank you, David. As a small business owner, jobs are something that I think about quite frequently, and who to hire and how to expand and how to create more opportunities for those in my community. Every day I have people coming in asking for a job, and I don't have openings for them. So it is something that I think about quite frequently. I think that we need to look at more initiatives to provide incentives to small businesses that already exist in Rowan County to hire local folks to work for us, as opposed to thinking about always bringing in distribution centers, large chain corporations into our community. We already have so many businesses that that need to be filled with high quality workers. As we were talking about earlier with the CTE programs, we have a number of people in our community that are trained and ready to work. And so we need to start thinking about moving our dollars around so that we're helping small businesses and not always just the outsiders coming in.
Thank you. Mark?
Question again, please?
Many employers are having a hard time filling open jobs. What would you do to help attract talent to our community?
Making the community more attractive is a multifaceted task. One thing that is desperately needed is more affordable housing. I go out and knock doors and talk to people, and that is their biggest concern. The rent's too high, the prices are too high, big corporations are coming in and bidding up the market, and it's a nationwide problem. So that, good infrastructure, good schools, those things will attract people to the community. We are already an attractive location, and we don't necessarily need giveaways to businesses for that, but making it appealing for people to live here. They're going to need jobs. That's what we ought to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you'll hold on to the microphone, and I will address you with this next question. Do you believe there's a relationship between economic development opportunities and the reputation of our public schools? If so, how do you address that opportunity?
That's more or less inevitable. When a business is considering where to locate, they are concerned about the education level and the training that their local recruits are going to have. And they are also concerned with the education that their employees are going to have for their kids. So those two things matter enormously. So what the county commission does for education, two basic things. First, they fund school infrastructure, and there's also a supplement to teacher salaries, which primarily come from the state, but the county has discretion on that. So we need to fund those things fully.
Thank you. Alyssa Redmond.
So I'll give a personal example. When I was contemplating moving to Rowan County in 2019, everything told me this was going to be a great opportunity for me personally, but for my young daughters, I was very hesitant to move here based solely on the online reports that I could see about our school system. And then doing a little bit more digging and looking at, and already knowing, because I was a student in the North Carolina public school system in the 90s when the Leandro case was originally passed by our esteemed colleagues in Raleigh, where it was shown that we have a constitutional obligation to fund our public schools, and we have been failing as a state, not just as a location in Rowan County. I believe that right now we arbitrarily, as a county, spend about 33% of our county budget on public schools. If we want to make this an attractive place, we need to be looking at the other counties close around us, looking at how much they're offering in terms of supplements and how much they're spending, and we need to adjust accordingly.
Thank you. Alyssa Redmond and Mark Ortiz, thank you for your participation. I'd like to ask the candidates for the Rowan-Salisbury School Board if they would take their seats behind the table. Again, thank you all very much for being here, and I'll get to this question, again submitted by a reader of the Salisbury Post, and I will ask each one of you the same question. What will you do to improve the ratings of our local schools? Kathy Sanborn, you have that question first.
Thank you. I think we need to first of all look closely at how those ratings are figured. Many times, and all of the times, our ratings are based on proficiency levels and growth, but the majority is proficiency. I want to see how children grow. What do they gain after a year's worth of instruction? Are they gaining a year's worth of growth? Because we don't all start out at the same level. We could all start running, practicing for a marathon, and we wouldn't get to the same place at the same time because we're starting at different places. So what I would like us to do is to have deeper conversations about what those ratings really mean, and to see that they only measure a few things in our schools, a few courses in our high schools, a few grade levels in our elementary and middle schools. But I want us to look deeper. A lot of good things are going on in Rowan County. Our kindergarten programs are great. We're getting ready to add some more pre-K programs. So I think we would look deeper into just those ratings.
Thank you. Jonathan Barbie, if you'll answer that.
All these work. I believe that we should be able to go and have teachers that are very successful partner with other teachers as well that are learning to improve. And it's okay to learn from the people that are doing well, and also it's good to learn as well from the people who are still learning the process. One of the things is that when we talk about the increments is that it's like in increments of 15, so you would have like A being from 100 to 85, and so on and so forth. My thing is that we're able to go and create the committees for each of the schools, and then make sure that we're having that staff continuously. There may or may not be some issues with regards to the plans that we have in place, but overall, I think we are headed in the right direction, even if we're showing some progress.
Thank you. Rebecca Childs. And again, if anyone wants me to repeat the question, I will.
So I think that there are multiple steps that we have to take to address this issue. The first is to advocate for a more comprehensive approach to the way that we assess and rate our schools. We know that testing is just one part of the equation, and it should not be the priority, but it is something that we have to deal with. As a teacher, I had students who had to show that they were growing, and I figured out a way to get that done, and we did. As a program manager at Rowan Cabarrus Community College, we needed to increase our pass rates for the license exam for real estate, and we did. But I understood that that was not the end game. So I think we also need to increase awareness about the purpose of our overall school performance and share that information with the community so that parents and students understand why we have these assessments and what the value is to them. I think at the end of the day, though, we need to make sure that we are focusing on student growth and student development, not just academically, but also emotionally, culturally, and socially as well.
Thank you. Brian Wimes.
I would like to work on two things. One is to advocate the state legislature to change the testing method, because giving a school a D just isn't accurate. I know that firsthand. So advocating on the state level to make changes. I believe that progress, not proficiency, should be measured, like Kathy said. And then secondly, most importantly, recruiting and retaining. This is all about what happens in the classroom. We have a really good story to tell here at RSSS with renewal, with the money that we have, with the superintendent that we have. I think that we can recruit the best and we can retain the best. And if we do that, I think our school system will be an A if we still measure it that way. But more reflectively, we'll have amazing progress.
Thank you. Lynn Marsh.
I will start off by saying I'm totally against letter grades for schools. It doesn't tell the story of the school. And if you look at the state formula, it's 80% proficiency on that one day in time, that one test, and only 20% is counted for growth. Well, this year, we do need work. We do need to improve. But if you look at our growth numbers on some of the schools for this year, it was amazing. Some of them were 29 plus points. And as a principal, I was always lucky to get at least 3 points. So we are making progress with this renewal system, and we have the flexibility like a charter school in our budgets, our teachers. curriculum and many other ways, and we ought to take advantage of that, and that's what we're trying to do. We need to reinvent a new formula for the accountability system for North Carolina, and I think that our system is going to be a good transformational model for that accountability model, because we look at the whole thing for this child. We don't just look at a test score on a certain day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You all stay where you are if you would. That does conclude the question and answer portion. But I'd like to offer each candidate here 1 minute for concluding remarks. And since you're already sitting here, I'm going to start here. We're going to go kind of in reverse order from the way we did the opening statement. So if it's okay, I'll start with these candidates, and then we'll move over here. Again, you have 1 minute for concluding remarks. So thank you. I will begin with Brian Wimes.
All right, let's be honest. I'm here to ask for your vote. My name is Brian Wimes, Rowan Salisbury, seat number 5 for RSS School Board. I think I'm a unique candidate in that I'm rooted here. I've been here for 20 years. I have an educational background. I'm a lifelong learner. I have an MBA and a law degree. And a lot of the decisions that get made on a school board have to do with business decisions. You're dealing with budgets, you're dealing with strategy, you're dealing with school closures, you're dealing with contracts. Those are things that I have a lot of experience with. In addition to that, I can leverage my relationships that I've built over the last 20 years with this community, from business leaders to nonprofits to church organizations. I can bring those people into the system for the betterment of Rowan County. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Sanborn.
Again, I'm glad to be here tonight and share a few things with you. I do want you to know that Rowan Salisbury Schools does have a positive story. There's a lot of wonderful things going on out there, and I am so blessed to be part of that, the board who is leading that and working alongside our staff, our superintendent, who has such a strong understanding of curriculum and instruction, and she knows her teachers and she knows what they need. I want us to have safe schools, schools that not only are safe from outside exposures, but also that are well maintained, and that means more money from our local county commissioners. I want us to have educational opportunities for all kids. All children should be able to reach whatever their heights are, if they are a child with a disability, if they're the average learner, or if they're an accelerated learner. They all should have those opportunities, and I think we're seeing that in Rowan Salisbury schools. And then I want us to be able to recruit and retain and respect the teachers that are doing the job every day, because they are the boots on the ground. So I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn Marsh.
I appreciate the confidence you've had in me for the past 3 years, and I want to continue to work for the Rowan Salisbury School Board and promote our school system. I believe in our school system. I believe in our teachers. I believe of the great things that are going on in the classroom, and I know we can do better. I know we're on our way to doing better, and I know that education is the key to life. And we have got to make sure that our kids are well-rounded and able to go on beyond graduation and have a place in this community to give back to this community. So I am asking you to have a trust in me for 4 more years and vote me for seat number 7 in the Southeast District. I'm the last name on the ballot, so that should be easy to remember. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Rebecca Childs.
They say if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I've never been more grateful for my life experiences that were preparing me to meet this moment and embrace this opportunity to serve as a member of the school board. As you consider your options, I encourage you to vote like the future depends on it. Our children in our schools deserve the best representation and the greatest advocates for public education. I believe that my passion, commitment, and experience make me the right candidate for seat number 5, and I humbly ask for your vote. Dicen que si estás preparado, no tienes que prepararte. Nunca he estado más agradecido por mis experiencias de vida que me prepararon para afrontar ese momento y aprovechar esa oportunidad de servir como miembro de la Junta Escolar. Mientras considero las opciones, le aliento a votar como si el futuro dependiera de ello. Nuestros niños y nuestras escuelas merecen lo mejor de representación y defensores de educación pública. Creo que mi pasión, compromiso y experiencia demuestran que soy la mejor candidata.
Thank you. Jonathan Barbie.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. My name is Jonathan Barbie. I'm on the ballot on the back for Rowan Salisbury Schools Board of Education, seat 5. I'm an individual that likes to go and look at a specific thing that's from a different angle than most people would like to see. And I have a lot of experience in being able to provide that. During my years being involved in this community, I've been able to go and point things out that have really been able to go and be seen at even further by other individuals. And lastly, we are doing something great in the school system. When I was at a work study meeting, we were going through your position of mastery on certain subjects. You can probably end up at a block somewhere, and then once you pass that, you're immediately going forward. We have something to do here in this county, and this is Rowan Salisbury school system. Thank you.
Thank you. We have two candidates here that are running for the Rowan County Board of Commissioners, Mark Ortiz and Alyssa Redmond. Mark, we'll begin with you. 1 minute for a concluding statement.
I would like to repeat asking for your vote. I am an independent person. I'm an independent thinker. I'm a man with good ideas and an open mind, work well with other people, have an extensive self-education, and I offer an alternative to the two corporate parties. I will be an advocate for Main Street, not Wall Street, in this county. I would like to conclude by talking about something else that's on your ballot. We have a diversity of people on the school board here because we have nonpartisan school board elections. There is a ballot measure on your ballot at the end of it to partisanize the Rowan Salisbury School Board. I urge a no vote on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Alyssa Redmond.
I cannot believe we are getting out of here before 7 o'clock. Again, my name is Alyssa Redmond. I'm running for county commissioner. I am the only person running for county commission who has children in the local school system here. I don't know when the last time was someone ran for this office and had children in the school system here. That will be my passion. I want to see us expand mental health services in this community. I want to see us do more for housing, affordable housing. I want to see us do more for vets as well, but my passion is to increase the resources available to teachers and administrators in the Rowan Salisbury school system, because I believe that once we start investing in our children, then new folks will see that we are investing in our future, and they will come. Economic development will come when we invest in our school system. So again, Alyssa Redmond, you didn't get a lot out of me tonight, so take a look at redmond4rowan.com if you have questions about my platform, and I hope to see you at the polls before November 5th.
Thank you. State House of Representatives, District 83, Joanne Chesley.
Okay, I'm a person who believes that I can make a difference, and so that's why I've come out of retirement to do this, to run for office. It hurts me to see homeless people. It hurts me to see families that can't afford housing, can't afford groceries, child care. The sandwich generation is taking care of their parents and children. So that's why I'm doing this. When I was 5 years old, my mother made me learn this poem, and it's guided my life. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And what I can do, I ought to do. And what I ought to do, by the grace of God, I will do. So that has guided my life, and that's how I would like to continue to work as a citizen of this state in North Carolina. I believe that I can make a difference. Please vote for me, Joanne Chesley, District 83.
Thank you. Grant Campbell.
I just want to give you a little bit about my style. I'm a native North Carolinian. I grew up in extreme poverty in an abusive household and was able to put myself through school and get my doctorate. I've had 2 jobs in my career. That is a physician and a soldier. These are things that are not graded on a curve. You don't get partial credit. You either accomplish the mission or you don't. You either make the sick better or you don't. I'm not someone that really cares about platitudes or the usual catchphrases. I'm about accountability. I want to get results. I don't want to keep problems going to keep people angry so they'll vote for me next time. So what I ask from you is 2 things. One is I hope that I can earn your vote in this upcoming election. But number 2, and this is something that politicians don't do very often, I ask that if you do, that you hold me accountable. And so the things that I say I'm going to go out there and do, I want you to remind me if I don't. Because in the end, I'm not running for a title, I'm running for a job. And that job has thousands of bosses, and that's you guys. Grant Campbell, District 83. Thank you very much.
Thank you. State Representative, District 76, Alicia Byrd Clark.
So to the Chamber and Elaine Spalding, thank you so much for hosting this forum. And I will say that I am not a politician, but I am a servant leader. North Carolina District 76 deserves a visible, forward-thinking, people-centered leader who recognizes the diverse fabric of our community and the strengths that come from embracing our differences. I am committed to uplifting and revitalizing every corner of Rowan County. My vision is clear. This campaign isn't about me alone, it's a collective movement. It belongs to everyone who calls Rowan County home. I'm not just running to collect votes, I am striving to forge partnerships that drive real progress. I believe in building bridges, not walls, and I want to cultivate genuine relationships across all walks of life, ensuring that every resident, regardless of their background, is seen, heard, and empowered to thrive. My goal is to make Rowan County a place where everyone has the opportunity to prosper. District 76, which is actually the year I was born, I invite you to join me in this journey to build a better tomorrow. Together, we can transform our district and write a new chapter of shared success. So let's create a legacy that we can all be proud of. I ask you to vote for me on November the 5th, and I promise to make you proud.
Thank you. Harry Warren.
Rowan County has been a wonderful place to live and to raise my children. Offering my time and my experience is the best way I can give back to the community, the county, and the state. Having more than 30 years experience in 3 different industries, from labor to general management to management, helps me better understand how our policies that we put in place as a legislature affect people from the homemaker to the CEO. Being a senior status now in the House enables me to be better positioned to bring millions of our tax dollars back to Rowan County to meet our needs and to fund our plans. Having raised 6 children, I'm an expert at I can't say it, but I can do it. Conflict reconciliation, I can do that. And team building is extremely important. I learned that with 6 kids too. I'm retired, so I devote all my time to the legislature, to constituent services, and to keeping you informed. I appreciate the support you've given me the last 14 years. I look forward to your support in November. Thank you.
Thank you. North Carolina State Senate, Tangela Morgan.
Again, I'd like to thank the Chamber and the other sponsors for hosting this event, and for all of you that are here in attendance. There's a saying amongst educators that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and I think that sentiment applies to all other areas of life. You've heard us all mention schools and how important they are, because I feel schools are the cornerstone of our communities. In times of crisis, nearby schools are used for shelter. And on Friday nights, all the community members gather to celebrate the athletic talents of our local youth. We attend arts programs, again, to encourage and celebrate our youth. If we want our communities to be safe, if we want our economies to prosper, if we want businesses to come here, if we want our young people to remain here, then we must fund our public school system. And I ask that you remember me, Tangela Morgan, when you cast your ballot for NC Senate District 33.
Thank you. Carl Ford.
Thank you. I thank the Lord for giving me another day and for allowing me to be here. And I want to continue to work for you as a small business owner in Raleigh. I've been in business quite a while. I've been in radio 42 years. I grew up in Kannapolis. I've lived in China Grove the last 37 years and raised my family. And I'm endorsed by the NRA, North Carolina Values, North Carolina Business Endorsement, National Federation of Independent Businesses, North Carolina Chamber Jobs Champion with a score of 100%, and endorsement by the Human Coalition. And I don't take those lightly either. And I want to continue to do the job in Raleigh. Isn't it good that we've been in such good financial shape that we've had a rainy day fund, and as the legislators in the mountains have said, we've had a rainy day. And we've got $5 billion in the bank, and we can help our friends and neighbors in the mountains. And I'll continue to work on that and continue to cut taxes, because I still believe that everyone in this room has better sense how to spend your money than any government. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Carl. All right, now it's up to you. Let them hear from you right now. Let them, come on. On behalf of our sponsors, thank you all for taking part tonight. Thank you all very much for your engagement in your community. And don't forget to vote on November 5th. That concludes our forum. Good night.